Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss. And I'm in the middle, well, probably somewhere in the middle of a series on emotions. This is actually the 8th video that is in this series, and there's more to come. I'm really delving in a deep way and taking it apart bit by bit, and I'm learning and growing for my own self in the midst of it. And I hope you can get something out of this too. So I first established that emotions are definitely beneficial to us. And why? In this video tonight, I'm going to touch on some more reasons that I may have touched on, may not have. So that's going to be a part of this video. And then I'm going to go into a need that we have in order to be able to express them, because basically the second part of my series is, what do we do with our emotions? What do we do with them? So I've already had a few videos on that, and there's a lot to talk about with that. Not just what do we do, but our mentality, our belief about them, and all of that. So anyway, so tonight I want to really, go further past where I've already established that emotions need to be accepted. They need to be allowed to come up, is another way I worded it. They need to be respected even and embraced. And another thing, on one of the videos I talked about leaning into our emotions. So this goes further than that, and I have a lot to share, so I will be looking down at my notes. And I want to really discuss, now I'm moving into, what do we need to be able to release those emotions? What will support us and help us or aid us in being able to express our emotions? Now, where I'm going with this has to do with the things outside of us right now, because we've been talking about a lot of what we think about them and a lot of what's inside, and we're still going to be talking about what's inside. But I'm kind of moving into that realm of environment, our surroundings, our conditions, and our activities. So I want to read the definitions that I found online for those things to kind of make sure you get where we're going, because it's not just one little thing. And you'll see when we're moving into this what these different things are that can be supportive. There's things that I've already talked about on other videos of mine on my YouTube channel that I've said, boy, for instance, nature is hugely supportive to me. That's just an example I'm going to throw out. Okay, that's an environment, right? But so I want to get into that now. And so with that, environment can mean surroundings or conditions in which a person lives or operates. Surroundings or conditions in which a person lives or operates. And that's why I'm going into the definition of surroundings, which is basically things or conditions or surroundings. Or surroundings can be the physical surroundings. It can be the people surroundings, surroundings. Conditions, circumstances affecting the way in which people live, especially with regard to their safety and well-being. I'm emphasizing that because I'm going to be talking more about that, but notice that. Conditions are circumstances or physical surroundings, okay, that people live in, especially in regard to their safety and well-being. I thought that's interesting. Now, we are definitely in this video not ignoring physical things, physical safety, physical environment, and all that, because it's all part of it. Okay. But I'm really leaning in and focusing in on emotional or soul or heart. That's what we're talking about. Okay. So activities can be the conditions in which things are happening or being done, or a thing a person or group does together. Activity. We all know what an activity means, but I think it's important to kind of look at that. Okay. So with that, I want to mention that I have a bookmark that I give out when I do vending and things like that. And any new people at the support group or clients who come to me for coaching will get one of these. And on the back, I have 10 tips when grieving. And so one of my 10 tips, just to let you know, is develop a support system. Okay, it's on here. It's number, 1, 2, 3. Not that it matters. Third one down, okay? Develop a support system. So I definitely believe that's an important tip. Again, when you're trying to think of 10 tips when you're a person aspiring to be someone who specializes in something, you have way more than 10 tips. But this is one of the tips that I put on my bookmark when I brainstormed it a couple years ago. And I still believe overall my tips on there are great, but it doesn't mean you can't go further. But where I'm going on this video is more so to help us think about what we need. And I'm going to explore some benefits first, more benefits of what expressing our emotions does for us, healthfully expressing our emotions, in an honest way expressing our emotions, what that does for us. Okay. And then I'm going to move into a need that we have, because I want to make sure if you haven't heard anything else, any of the other videos or on my channel or on these lives that I've been doing for the last month, that you know some of the benefits of expressing your emotions, because I don't think most of us think of that. I know this has really opened my eyes to think about what are the benefits of emotions. I very clearly talked about on other videos that God made emotions, God has emotions, and God understands and He cares about all of us, every part of us, including our emotions. So I just have to say that, because if you haven't heard me say that, it's definitely part of what I believe. Okay. And I believe we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And He made us body, soul, and spirit, and our soul has mind, will, and emotions in it. So there's emotions, right? All right. So with that, I believe where we're going is going to help you to know more how to even think about developing a support system, and who is a part of your support system and who's not, and how much more maybe you need to develop that, or maybe you don't. Maybe you already have a great one. So, but it'll help you to know you have a great one or not, maybe through this part of what I'm going to share in this video. Okay. All right. With that, I want to, I will be referring back to Gina Moffa, which I've been referring to throughout this series at different times. Moving on doesn't mean letting go. And she is I would say she's definitely a specialist. She's been helping people with grief for many, many years. And has her own grief story. A lot of it was her health problems and definitely loss of loved ones, etc. So this book has helped me a lot and says a lot about emotion. So I've really been going through this series on my channel. Julie Kay Kettles is the name of my channel. Basically, it's Julie Kettles, if you know that, and it's my name here on Facebook. Hi, Felicia. Julie Kettles is my first and last name, and that's my name here on Facebook. So my channel, if you just put in my name, my channel will come up. It also includes my middle name. But this book has been very helpful in this whole study on emotions. It's not the only thing I've used, but it definitely, and I validate a lot of what she says in there, and she is an expert of her own sorts with that. So I just want to make sure I give credit, because I'll be quoting a few of her things. And so now, before I move on to what we need, is very important and very crucial, what we need in being able to express our emotions in a way that is healthy and is good. So, so here's a few reasons, a few benefits of accepting and being honest about our emotions and expressing them. Okay. I have different ways of wording all that, but that's the gist of it, right? Being able to express them in a healthy way, and having that result in more healing for us and something good for us, not in something damaging or traumatic for us or grieving us. and then ending up being a positive thing. So here's a few of them I've written down, and I've covered this on some of the other videos, but here's a few of them. It can help us by expressing our emotions. It can help us to recognize our own deep pain. Okay? It can help us recognize our own deep pain. And then another one is to help us to be aware of even what we're going through. And Gina talks about this, that it can help us to understand that we might be going through a personal crisis or a breakdown or something of that sort. So by recognizing and expressing our emotions, it can help us to realize that we're going through something serious or just what we're going through. Okay? So that's another one. And even also the way it can truly help us to know ourselves, to understand ourselves, because we don't always understand ourselves. So, and I want to go back to something I did say on one of the first videos, that I put out on this series. And that was that when we emote or when we express our emotions, and anger can be one of them, or frustration or anything like that, it can be a lot of times we're frustrated or we're angry about something that really matters to us. And one way to look at what matters to us is our values. So our values, I'm a believer in Jesus. I call myself a Christian, a follower of Jesus. And a lot of you all on here are right with me. We're brothers and sisters in Christ. But you can just say, oh, we all have the same values. No, we still have different things that are more important than one to the other. Communication is humongous for me, and we all need communication, right? But that's where a lot of times my frustration or anger or hurt or pain or all that stuff has come from, a lack of, or that kind of thing. So I've realized that partly by my emotions, I've realized how important that value is to me. And so being honest, okay, hopefully we all value honesty, right, from other people. But depending on how much we get upset when somebody's dishonest may tell us how high that value is in our life. So those are just a couple examples. So with that, it can aid us in being honest about our needs, our emotions, and getting them out can help us to be honest about our needs, about our values, about who we are, and also to help us to find the connection we so deeply crave inside of grief. Because we need that validation, the very word validation, okay, which I do believe is a good word. We need love. In fact, Gina even says it. We need love, support, I think. Love, support, and validation. So validation itself can only happen if somebody else or a group of other people are there to give that validation. It has to be an interaction. Validation has to do with interaction between people, is the way I'm going to put it. Okay, so that is deeply craved in grief because isolation is not healthy. Isolation and some of the points that I make later, I want you to make sure y'all know I am not saying to isolate. Okay, when I say about choosing your support system and that kind of thing, I'm not at all encouraging isolation. Okay, just want to say that right up front. Another thing that Gina Moffa says that's another benefit of expressing your emotions is giving yourself permission without cutting yourself off or stuffing it, I would say, right, is the crux of healing. It's the crux of healing. She's saying that you find healing when you express and get out your emotions, your heart, from your heart on out. That is part of healing. Okay, so that's huge right there. And I would agree with that. And then another thing she says is that to healthfully express our feelings, honestly express our feelings, is the only way we can form genuine and caring connections with others. So there it comes back to connection again. It's the only way. She actually says it's the only way to form genuine, caring connection with others. Wow. And I do talk about that in the beginning videos about connection. But that was speaking to me because I've had connection issues in my past, rejection issues. And I still long for more connections, healthy connections, and safe connections. That's what we're going to be talking about. And so to know that that's the only form of genuine, caring connections with others, that an expert says that really speaks to me. So there are some of the benefits. There's more, and I share them on the first couple videos in this series on emotions. All right. But I wanted to go back and touch on that here. So now I'm going to go into talking about, okay, so I was just talking about environment, our environments, our situations, our environments, surroundings, conditions, and activities. So that's where I'm going now with what do we need to be around? What environment do we need to be around? What do our surroundings need to be at times to help us to safely express? And we're going to get into safety. So it's all interweaving. But I just want to go back in case you just got on and missed that. I'm going to be going into details about different things that helped me, that I know help others. And it's a discussion. So if you find that wasn't helpful for you, and you want to share that, that's fine. If you think of something else that's in the environment or surroundings, activities that has been helpful for you, I would love for you to share it on comments. I love comments, and I always try to go back and respond to them and acknowledge them. They're, very important and a part of interacting with these videos, right? So with that said, again, on my, as I mentioned, on my bookmark and my 10 tips, I encourage you to develop a support system. That involves people. A support system involves people. It can be beyond people, okay? I just mentioned nature. I'm going to mention it again. It can be beyond people. Nature is not a person. It's alive. It's, I believe, a reflection of God. And I love nature, but nature is not people per se, okay? Nature is trees and grass and bushes and all of that, okay? The sky, so forth. So I just call it nature in general. I have found nature to be very supportive, so I would definitely, and I will be bringing that in on this whole discussion as one of the things, okay? But I just making sure you all know kind of where I'm going with things, all right? So when we talk about our environment, our situations, our conditions, what is always involved overall? The answer is ding, 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 people, human beings. We even, despite, even if we live alone in our own apartment or house or mansion or whatever, even people that live alone, we are all surrounded by people. We are, thanks. We are all surrounded by people. We are all involved with people. We are affected by people. We are affected by decisions that we all make. We're constantly, whether we like it or not, affected by one another. Okay, so this is about people. Okay, plain and simple. So Gina, on top of what I just shared about how important it is to develop a support system, she encourages you to seek new supports for yourself. That's just one of the comments. I just want to say that all the experts and people who understand grief, they encourage you never to isolate, to take time alone. Yes, that's a part of it, and I have talked about that, but to not isolate. We need one another, okay? But we're going to get into how that needs to look, though, okay? What really way that benefits us. So another thing I want to quote from her on page 201 of the book that I showed you, Moving On Doesn't Mean Letting Go. That's the name of the book. She says, the way we saw hard emotions modeled when we were kids has something to do with it, but whom you surround yourself with now matters too. And I would say whom you surround yourself now matters a lot. Not just two, also, like the way she's saying, it matters a lot. In fact, I believe it matters more than what you went through in childhood. I have a whole video on what are the reasons why we don't tend to share emotions, or not enough, or not freely, or what have you. Why? And I have a whole list of them that I go into. So you can go to that. It's the third or fourth video in this series on my channel. So I encourage you to go watch this. I would love for you to give your input on what you think about this series, because I'm learning right along with y'all. Okay. And so with that said, who we surround ourselves with is hugely important. Very important. Okay. So I wanted to read her comment and then add my own input to it. And she would agree with that. It's just, that was her statement at that point in the book. All right. And another thing that she says that I want to read that is very empowering, and I believe we need to be empowered. Because a lot of us, now there's the takers and the entitled people. I don't like putting a lot of titles on things. People throw that word around a lot with, not just entitlement, but, I can't remember what it is. I don't want to say it anyway. But, we have you could say the takers in this world, and then we have the givers. Excuse me. But who tend to come to me and the people in my life tend to be givers. And so we need to have empowering statements sometimes. So she says on page 206, you are the captain of your ship. You call the shots when it comes to what you need and how you want to proceed with people or obligations. You are the captain of your ship. You call the shots when it comes to what you need and how you want to proceed with people or obligations. That's the way she stated it. I like that. That helps me. And I don't always talk that blatantly, but I like that. I think that's very well said. And we need to know that. And that's where I want you to have that permission and know you have that permission before we go into more details on this. Okay. And then, another thing she says on page 209, is find your people and then let those people in. Simple way to put it. There's more to it. Why do we have a hard time letting people in? And that's a whole nother topic, right? Then she says, allow yourself to be carried by the love and support of secure relationships when you are at your most fragile times, if you will. Allow yourself to be carried by the love and support of secure relationships. Well, first you got to have those, right? Because you might say, I don't have those, so how am I going to do that? And that's where we're going first with this whole topic tonight. All right. And then another thing she says, because we have to talk sometimes about the negative, we have to put things in negative ways to kind of get where we're going with this so that we can know where the healthy goes, because I believe there's unhealthy and healthy, and that's one way I put it. We all have a lot of unhealthy ways to deal with our situations and the hard things we go through in life. And, I want to promote us to find those healthy ways. I am still learning. I've never been a substance person. I don't go to substances, but I certainly have not always dealt with my problems, my emotional heartache, etc. Always done it in a healthy way, nor did I know how to. So I'm learning, and I hope we're all learning. And that's what I love to do as a life coach, is help people learn healthy ways to deal with things. But another thing Gina says on page 204 is, often we need to break away from our imbalanced and unhealthy relationships. So what we're talking about here on this video is a framework to kind of help us to learn what is even unhealthy. What is an unhealthy relationship? What's an imbalanced relationship, an unhealthy relationship? What's a toxic relationship? Okay, I'm not getting full blown into trauma. I focus on grief and loss, but this whole series is about our emotions. Our emotions are attached to our thoughts, very much so, and emotions and thoughts are basically what our memories are about, right? When we have memories, we have thoughts about those memories, and we also a lot of times have emotions about those memories. Sometimes we can feel in our bodies what we felt at the time of that memory, good or bad. Okay. Just touching on it, not going into that big time. That's a whole nother topic. So with if you are in any relationships now that if you're in any relationships, family or friends or coworkers or whoever, church, fellow church people, whoever it is that would be an imbalanced or unhealthy or toxic, this whole topic can help you. And it's about safety. So I'm going to tell you right now, the need that we all have is to feel safe. We all have an innate need to be safe. Now, I have to bring this up, that I thought that only had to deal with, well, let me just say this first. Yes, we're talking about physical safety. I am not excluding physical safety, but most of us know, and we've been brought up to know more about physical safety, but not near enough about emotional or soul safety. Okay. So that's what I'm honing in on, is soul, heart, emotional safety, different ways we can put it. Okay. Not just body safety. So I'm not excluding body safety, but it's not what I'm talking about or referring to tonight. Okay. Keep that in mind. Always have to be thinking about physical safety, because if we lose our life in the midst of not being physically safe, then we can't work on our soul. So yes, it's hugely important, but our soul is just as important. And not enough focus goes on our soul. So much on our body, but not. And usually when people say, how are you? Not always, but they're often referring to physical. Sometimes I'm thinking in my mind, do they mean my body or do they mean my soul? Because I've got my body issues and I've got my soul issues, my mental issues, right? So then I want to just say that we have to feel safe to be honest, to let out our emotions, to be honest about our emotions, to even express them at all, or what have you. We need to feel safe to be honest. And with the times we've shared, who can vouch for this? There's times we've shared with somebody, whether it be a family, friend, neighbor, spouse, coworker, anybody. It could be anybody. Okay, there's no rules to this. We've expressed something deep within us with that person. And let's be honest, maybe you've never thought of the word safe, but you go, I didn't feel safe with that person. How they talked to you, what they told you what to do, and it wasn't helpful. If they did worse, yelled and screamed at you, or just didn't care and they brushed you off. Whatever it is, I'm not going to go into all that right now, but just to give a few ideas. Could you say that you didn't feel safe with them and you aren't going to go back and share those deep things with that person again? That's kind of where we're going with this, okay? So we do need to feel safe to be honest and honestly express our thoughts and our emotions, because our memories come from both. Our heart involves both, not just one or the other. Thoughts and emotions, mind, thoughts, emotions, and our will, our choices, our decisions, our will. That's what our soul is made up of. So that's another statement I want to make here. And Gina even goes on to far enough to say that it is essential that you put emotional safety first. It's essential that you put emotional safety first. Wow. That's a big statement, right? So emotional safety. This is what Gina, and I'll just hold up her book again, Moving On Doesn't Mean Letting Go. Gina Maffa. She's definitely an expert with her experience of helping people and her own grief journey. And she talks a lot about feelings in her book, A Modern Guide to Navigating Loss. I got it from the library, but now I have my own copy because I was like, this is too good. I love writing in books and underlining and writing comments off to the side and starring things and all this stuff. And so I just had to have my own book of hers. That's how much I think of the book. And it talks a lot about emotions and feelings. So it's been a great referral book for this series that I'm working through. And so we have to feel safe to be honest. And she says it's essential that you put emotional safety first. Wow. She's not saying over physical. She's saying make it a top priority. Okay. So that, and then, so I shared earlier some more benefits of expressing our emotions in healthy ways, of course. And the safety factor is so important. It's really important that we feel safe. What does that mean? I could try to break that down for probably another 2 hours. I'm not going to do that. Trust me. I'm going to end this soon. But basically, emotional safety or heart safety or soul safety, because like I just said, we are not negating physical safety, but most of us know about physical safety. We've been raised to know about the physical safety. That's the biggest emphasis we have, even in school. We're there to learn mental knowledge, right? Mostly mental and, all things we need to learn in life, but there's always that emphasis on physical safety, and there should be. So I'm not negating physical safety. I just want to make that clear again. But I'm honing in on emotional safety, our heart safety. And that's what the series is about, and how our emotions are a very important part of that we don't give enough honor to, enough respect to. We don't allow people to express it in healthy ways, nor do we learn how to be healthy with our emotions. But it's a very important part of our healing journey, our grief journey, our healing journey, whether it's trauma, grief, or both. Whatever we've been wounded from, that we've experienced the loss of, because we've all experienced losses, and it's not just the death of a loved one. It's all kinds of things. And it's all subjective, y'all. And the safety is subjective. So let me just say that. We are all unique. You are unique. I'm unique. We're all unique. It's a proven fact. Our fingerprints, I have very thin skin, and very wrinkly skin and dry skin, and it's been driving me crazy lately, partly because of my thyroid. I don't have a thyroid. So anyway, if you've been to the hospitals now, I don't know if they're all doing it, but they do a handprint. You put your hand in the machine. I don't know if you call that a handprint. I guess it is. That's what I'm going to call it. But because that's more accurate, if you will. But either way, all of our fingerprints are completely unique, forever, from the past to the future. And I say that's God. I believe that's a creator. And let's say how it couldn't be, because that's amazing. My daughter's fingerprint, because we lost her in 2020, is on my necklace. I have a cross, and then I have a little oval, and you probably can't totally tell, but her fingerprint's on there. And that's what they gave me for her being a donor to 4 people. She died from fentanyl. Terrible, horrible, shocking experience just before the lockdown on March 3rd of 2020. And this is what motivated me into this ministry, into helping others with grief and teaching. And I'm a teacher, so I love getting on these videos and teaching things that I'm learning. I'm not an expert. I'm learning right along with y'all. But a terrible thing, but one of the goods out of it, because I'm able to look at the goods in it, is that she was able to be a donor and give 4 people life. And so that's a huge blessing to me, that her death was not in vain. Even right then and there, it was not in vain. Much more because I've chosen to cooperate with God's plan and go forth and bring awareness of fentanyl. By the way, tomorrow is National Fentanyl Awareness Day, and I didn't even know that until a month or so ago. The 31st of August is International Overdose Awareness Day, and I'm probably going to get on a special, I don't know if I'm going to do it for my live or do a special video next week. I realized recently, because one of my sons came out with it on his Facebook page about what happened with her boyfriend and how he's behind bars for 14 years. So I'm not going to go into that right now. And so a lot of people didn't know, and I didn't even tell everybody, because the trial was supposed to be last October, and then trial didn't happen. And again, I'm not going to go into all the details. I will on that video. But then in December, right before Christmas, he got his sentencing. So I have to call to find out what date he actually went into prison, but I can almost guarantee he's definitely in prison now. And I'm going to find that out. Now I have a goal, so I'm telling you all, so I'm accountable to tell not every detail, but to tell that story, parts of the story that I haven't shared, that I wasn't ready to, because when my younger son, Gabe, went on Facebook just a week or two ago and told it, and I found out their family members was like, I didn't know. And then they go, my niece died, and and then my husband said, I realize most of my friends don't know. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to tell that story on Facebook, which I don't tell everything from my life on Facebook, but a lot of people know she died and it was fentanyl. And so that part of the story and the justice of it, because has been justice, it needs to be told. And I think I'm ready to tell it. So y'all can pray for me on that. It's still not easy always to go back and tell that story. But tomorrow is National Fentanyl Awareness Day. And I think all of us know now, hopefully, that fentanyl is extremely dangerous. Tons of people are dying from it. Thankfully, the numbers are going down thanks to so many efforts from so many people around the country, because our nation is the country that has the epidemic. It is not a international epidemic, thank God. Canada and Australia also have had a pretty serious problem with it. And I'm not saying it's not anywhere else, but it is mostly an American United States epidemic. So tell people, spread the word, make sure you share with people that don't ever take any drug, unless it's through a prescription authorized by a pharmacist and a doctor. That's the only way you're going to be safe from fentanyl maybe not being in the mix of that drug. Wasn't planning to go into this big time tonight, but I have to say that because it's tomorrow, the National Fentanyl Awareness Day. But the International Overdose Awareness Day is the 31st of August. So I think I'm definitely going to make that goal next week to put that video out that I think I'm ready to do. Okay. Stay tuned. If it's the live next Wednesday, it might be. And then I also upload these videos onto my channel. So if you've missed part of this and you want to see it, you can go onto my channel. It'll be uploaded probably next Thursday or sometime next week. I'm promoting my channel. Please go to my channel, watch the videos, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm almost to 900. So please help me to get to that point where I get other privileges and eventually monetization. But that's going to take a while. But the more people that share and watch the videos, I'm doing a little bit longer videos. I thought shorter was better, and I do have short ones on there too. But I'm doing a little bit longer because it's easy to share more when you're a teacher and you want to help people. And so that actually helps the watch hours more. So please subscribe and go to my channel, check it out. Hit the bell if you want to too. You don't have to. And when you watch them, try to remember to like the videos. I've never been good at that, I'll be honest. I'm trying to get better about that myself. If you like them, it helps too. If you want to comment, I love comments too. That's awesome. But at least like it if you can remember to do that. And do that for other people too. If you like the video, like the video. Oh. All right. So, sorry. So that's all I think I'm going to share tonight. But it is very subjective. We're unique. Our situations are unique. Our losses are unique. And so is safety. What feels safe for you or safe for me could be different. Okay. What feels safe to you? Let me know. What feels safe to you? If you don't want to do it on here, you can PM me. Teach me what feels safe to you and what doesn't feel safe to you. I've definitely experienced unsafe things from people, and I don't share with those people, and I don't open up. And then some people I thought I felt safe with, I've had things happen, and I'm like, well, I don't think I feel safe anymore with that person. Not with the deep, deep stuff, or when I'm really needing to emote. I may not share with that person. So it doesn't mean there can be people in our lives, spouses, that we do feel safe to share things with a lot of times, but then all of a sudden we don't feel safe. It may be because of just where we're at. And we do need to find or go to our counselor or therapist or a coach or what have you. I aspire to be a safe place for people, but I'm not saying I've always been safe. I'm not perfect. None of us are. When we're going through the hardest part, somebody else may need safety from us, and we just can't give it at that moment. So it can be your spouse that is safe at times, but now however they're reacting because of whatever they're going through, they're not safe for you at that time. So it's not just like, oh, everybody's either safe or unsafe. It may be what you share, and, you know, it may just depend on the situation, right? So, sorry, I can't pause on this one. Allergies are fun. So that's what I want to share. It's just very unique, and safety, we have to learn it as we go. It's not just a pat, black and white thing. It's an ongoing thing to learn. And yet I used to think it only had to do with people who've been through very traumatic abuse or situations. The military, anybody who's been, you know, in the military, overseas, at war, or what have you, not just at war, who've been through traumatic experiences, they definitely have safety issues, PTSD, almost guaranteed, and other things like that, mental health conditions. And people have been through abuse, absolutely. But I thought it was only that. And God has shown me, I have learned that safety, I have to learn what's safe for my heart, for my soul, for me, because I'm still working through my grief. I've come through another breakthrough, and I'm doing much better. I can tell when I have more healing and more peace and more, I'm not as consumed, or I'm not hurting as much, whatever that is. I love it when that happens, but I can still tell it's always going to be with me, especially when you have live people in your life that you're pretty much estranged from. You know, you can get better, and we all can get help, and we will get help, but it's an ongoing issue, and there's ups and downs to it. But when we learn certain principles that we can fall back on, it helps a lot. For me to know what helps me feel safe is huge for me to be able to be okay and go and get the help I need. I have a counselor, and I felt pretty safe, but sometimes I don't feel like I can go to her either. I love nature. I've mentioned nature several times. This is specific. I'm going to be going into in depth on different things that help us, situations, environments, and peoples, and that kind of thing. And I went ahead and mentioned nature, so I'm going to end with that again. I'm looking out my window, the door that's in this room, and I leave it open I leave the little like blind thingy open most of the time because it's just pretty to look out and see some nature. So, and so basically, I don't like going out much right now, and I'm not going there much right now because it's too hot, but I've been a couple times in the morning before the heat really hits. But there's a park near my house that I just absolutely love, and I never get sick of. And it's just full of nature, and there's trees all surrounding me, and I feel safe. So that's one of my go-tos. I'll just share that right now. That's one of my go-tos that I would say one environment that I feel very safe in. Very safe in. Another one that can be very safe is journaling in a notebook that nobody's going to go read, of course. It has to be safe that way. But you just putting it out on paper, and that is just another safe place. So I didn't even plan on going into those. But I'll be touching on these different things over the next weeks, okay? So I hope you keep joining me on the series. Please subscribe to my channel, Julie, Kay, middle name, Kettles, like a teapot, Kettles. All you got to do is look at my name right here on Facebook. And if you put that name into the search bar on YouTube, you will find my channel. So not hard to find. And share with others, encourage them. If you know they're grieving, they're going through things, they can call me up and we can talk, but maybe they're not ready yet to do that. Maybe they're not ready for a support group, which is another place that I believe can be very safe. Then, tell them about my channel because they can watch and listen and learn about grief in their own safe space, whether it's in the car or at home. And they can listen and hopefully still learn some things and feel, empowered and safe and supported and learn. That's why I'm doing this on my channel. Okay. So thank you for joining me tonight. This went even longer, but thank you so much, and God bless, and look forward to comments, and See you next time.